Good morning, friends. Today we are tackling some very important garden projects. Among other things, to help combat the high cost of living, we are planting a year's supply of carrots, celery, and onions. We will also prepare some seed potatoes for planting. But before we get started, I want to create a sweet reward for all of the work. So we are going to make a Kentucky butter cake. I've never made this cake before, so you and I will discover together whether it is delicious or not. So the first thing I need to do is preheat my oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I need to spray my bundt pan with baking spray. Baking spray contains flour. Set you aside. Now again, I will post the recipe for this cake in the description box below. Let's see. I need to mix flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, and baking soda together in a large bowl. I can tell you right now that this cake is so ridiculously delicious, it should be illegal. I hope you will give it a try someday. Now, usually when I make a cake, I need to use 2 bowls. This recipe is unique in that it only requires 1 bowl. And that is the bowl of my standing mixer. Briefly mix the dry ingredients. Now I need buttermilk. Next, add softened butter. Then I need eggs at room temperature. Now, the recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, but I'm going to change the recipe just a little bit because my instinct tells me to substitute some of the vanilla for bourbon. Batter smells wonderful. Scrape down the bowl. Now we can pour the batter into the pan. And into the oven it goes for 1 hour. And while the cake is baking, I'm going to get cleaned up here, and then we can get cracking on some of the garden projects. So I have some seed potatoes here that I purchased from a local farm store a few weeks ago, and I have been letting them sprout. And now I want to cut them into more or less egg-sized pieces. And each piece needs to have 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 eyes or sprouts. And apparently when you cut them this way and you limit the number of eyes on each piece, you get a harvest of larger potatoes. Let's see, so this is Yukon Gold. I'm going to cut this, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. And apparently you can cut out any excessive eyes on a piece of potato. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will cut this one out. And these seed potatoes are certified organic and disease-free. 1, 2, 3. And if you have a very small potato, you don't have to cut it at all. These are fine just as they are. This one is huge. So let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I will let the potatoes cure for at least 24 hours before I plant them. This way the cut side can callus. And then here I have russet potatoes. I think the variety is called Burbank russet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I'm going to remove some of these eyes. I think this is small enough to plant whole. From what I've read, if you leave all of the eyes intact, as the potatoes grow in the garden, each little eye or sprout basically produces its own plant, and all of those plants compete for nutrients, so you end up with a lot of very small potatoes. If you cut them the way I just did, supposedly you get larger potatoes. And I'm going to let these cure. I'm going to put them back on their bags so I know what they are. And then we can head out to the garden. So this is the bed in my little herb garden in which we will plant a year's supply of carrots. And the first thing I need to do is add some fertilizer to the bed. This is an organic, balanced fertilizer. And then I want to scratch the fertilizer into the soil. Hi, baby. Hello, my love. No. I'm finding a lot of worms in here. So these are the carrot seeds that I bought from Johnny's. They are bolero carrots, and the seeds are pelleted, meaning they have a clay coating, which makes them very easy to see and very easy to plant. I grew this same variety last year, and it exceeded all of my expectations. So I can make a little trench for the seeds. I already spilled some of them. As I go about planting these carrot seeds, I want to mention that the 2026 garden might be my most important garden to date. We all know that fuel and food prices have increased dramatically this year. To offset the high cost of living, I want to grow as much of my own food as I realistically can. A packet of seeds costs only a couple of dollars, but it can produce $100 worth of produce. Last year, as you might recall, I blanched, froze, and then vacuum sealed my carrots. I'm still eating them. You can plant carrots a good 2 to 3 weeks before your last predicted frost date. That's what I'm doing. We had a rather severe frost a few days ago. The temperature dropped to, I think it was 27 degrees Fahrenheit, well below freezing. But now we have some mild weather. It's about 60 degrees here today. According to that seed packet, there were a minimum of 250 seeds, and I planted all of them, so we will see how many germinate. And if they all germinate, I will have more than a year's supply of carrots. And I'm just covering the seeds now. One caveat concerning pelleted seeds is that you have to keep them constantly moist so that the seed coating, so that the clay coating can break down. So I will be watering this bed at least twice each day until germination. Even though I have drip irrigation, I like to give the seeds a very good soaking by hand initially. And there, our bed is done. And our cake is almost done too, so we need to run inside and make a butter sauce that gets poured over the cake. We're just ducking inside from the garden for a moment to make the sauce that we will pour over the cake. For the sauce, I need sugar, butter, some water, and vanilla extract. And I'm going to set this over the stove just until the butter melts. And our sauce is done. And the cake is done. Well, it looks beautiful from the bottom portion, which is currently on top. While the cake is still warm, I need to poke it with a skewer and then pour the sauce over. Now the directions say to slowly pour the sauce over the cake. This does seem like a lot of sauce. But I'm just following the directions here. And then we are to let the cake cool before removing from the pan about 30 minutes. And while we wait for that to happen, let's head up to the kitchen garden. I want to plant sweet peas and onions and celery. I have a lot of cleaning up to do in this garden. This is the upper garden. I call it the kitchen garden. I have a lot of weeding to do as well. Not today. So I need to clean up last year's sweet pea vines. This year, just like last year, I'm planting lots of flowers that I can cut for free flower arrangements for the house. In addition to sweet peas, I will also plant snapdragons and zinnias. These are the sweet peas that you and I started together from seed, and I pre-sprouted them, and then I planted the seeds in these deep root trainers. Let me show you the roots. Look at this. So the roots have grown all the way down to the bottom. By growing seeds in these special trainers, you have no root disturbance during transplanting. I have a cattle panel trellis here that the sweet pea vines can grow up. And I do want to fertilize the bed. Okay, here we go. Sweet peas perform best in cool temperatures. I'm planting them in a bed that receives morning sunshine and afternoon shade. And the sweet peas are planted, and now it is getting quite warm up here. We need to go back to the kitchen to unmold the cake. I have not been in the garden since October. It is now April, so 6 months. And I'd forgotten just how hard outdoor gardening is. And now I want to unmold this cake. Say a prayer. Ta-da! Oh, it's beautiful. And nary a crumb stuck. This is just spectacular. Now, I need to let this cool completely before we can tuck into it. And I'm going to take a short lunch break and then head back up to the garden, and then we can enjoy the cake for afternoon tea. Also, it's really hot outside now. I need to change my shirt. So these are the onions that you and I started together from seed in late winter. And the first thing I want to do is give them a haircut. From what I have read, cutting them back just a little, really helps improve the harvest. And all of the pieces that I've just cut are edible, but I don't think I will be eating them today. Now, I do want to fertilize this bed. Now, all of these onions are sort of root bound, and that's perfectly fine. I will just break them up, loosen the roots. It's called teasing the roots. Although I'm not really teasing them. I mean, I'm not making fun of them. I don't like your haircut. When I space onions, I try to determine how large I want the onion bulb to be, and then I plant accordingly. I checked with my local cooperative extension, and they said that onions can be planted a couple of weeks before the last predicted frost.
For me, onions are an important money-saving crop. Almost every savory recipe I know starts with an onion. To ensure the harvest lasts for an entire year, I first slice or dice the bulbs, and then I freeze them. Having already chopped onions in the freezer is a great time saver.
I forgot to tell you the varieties of onion that I'm planting. Right now, I'm planting Patterson onions. These are very good yellow storage onions. And I'm also going to plant Sierra Blanca. It's a white storage onion. And another onion called, where are you? Rosa di Milano. It's a red storage onion. Okay, we have just planted 100 onions. I still have minimum 100 more onions to go, but we're not going to plant those today. And I looked at my celery seedlings, which I will show you in just a moment. I think they're still too small to plant into a garden bed. So we're going to take a break. I want to move my wicker furniture onto the front porch, and then I want to brew some tea, or maybe we'll have iced tea, and I want to tuck into that cake. So these are the celery seeds that you and I started together from seed and grew under lights. I've been hardening them off, and although they are growing, I don't think they're big enough yet to transplant to the open garden. So I'm going to let them grow for another week or so, and then we can transplant them.
It feels great to bring my wicker furniture out of winter storage. As you might recall, I bought this furniture last summer when Lizette's mother found it at a church sale. I recently purchased some new cushions for it. To add a bit of glamour to the porch setup, we can cut some forsythia branches from the front yard and arrange them in a vase for the wicker side table.
All of that garden work may not seem like a lot on video, but in person, it was a lot, for me anyway. I'm quite exhausted now, but I think this cake and some tea will be a nice pick-me-up. And this is Darjeeling autumnal tea that I buy from Tierra Farm. Putting it in a filter instead of directly in the pot this time. And I wanted to read you something from the cake recipe. She says, making ahead and storage. This cake is excellent the day it is made and even better the next day. Store tightly covered at room temperature for several days or refrigerate for longer storage. That's good news because it means I don't have to eat the entire cake today. If I didn't mention it earlier, this cake smells just fantastic. You can even smell that tiny amount of bourbon I put into the batter. Oh, the tea is delicious. And I did decide to go with hot tea. Now, the moment I have been waiting for, the Kentucky butter cake. Holy cow, this is delicious. It is super moist, super buttery. It's extra buttery because of the butter syrup. You get the whiff of the vanilla and the bourbon. This is just uber fantastic. It's also downright energizing. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of what I have going on around here, there are a couple of other videos that will pop up at the end of this one. If you are new, I hope you will consider subscribing. And if you know anyone who would enjoy this video, I would greatly appreciate you sharing it with them. I hope you are having a great day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now, friends. Going to finish my cake.